I honestly have zero clue on what's going on with Ryan Day right now. So last week I had it at 6 red zone trips for Ohio State, 2 touchdowns. This week at Nebraska, 4 red zone trips, 1 touchdown. That's 3 games this year where I think Ryan Day has just gotten severely outcoached, and I love the dude. His recruiting is great. He's the offense, new age, Lincoln Riley type mind, but I mean, you're talking about a game against Oregon, completely outcoached. The Penn State game, completely outcoached. And then this Nebraska game, oh my goodness. The main problem I have with Ohio State right now, and they beat Nebraska 26-17, settling for field goals is a big issue, but really, it's the undisciplinedness of this team. You're talking about the start of the fourth quarter, a delay of game to start a quarter, to start the fourth quarter, a delay of game. And Ryan Day does this thing, and it happened a few times in the first half, where he'll wait until there's about 10 seconds left on the play clock to get the play into C.J. Stroud. You're talking about C.J. Stroud, first-year quarterback, already struggling. You got to get the play call in faster, Ryan. And several times in the first quarter, you're talking about a 1st and 10. Nebraska has a 6-man box, and you're throwing the ball on 1st and 10. That was crazy. If I'm C.J. Stroud, I'm not even looking at Ryan Day. I see a 6-man box on 1st and 10, on 2nd and 7, you run the ball every time. Nebraska came out and they tried to stop Ohio State's passing. They didn't care about, Trevion Henderson running the ball. They wanted to stop our pass game, and they did a great job of it. C.J. Stroud, the 2 interceptions he had, C.J. Stroud is very similar to Dwayne Haskins, and there's just an inability to maneuver within the pocket and move outside of the pocket. I don't know what it is, but both of his interceptions, he's outside the pocket. The first interception, I thought the receiver was going to be wide open because C.J. Stroud had 15 yards of free green grass ahead of him if he would have run the ball. So I'm like, wow, you're throwing the ball. The receiver must be wide open. You could have had, a good 7 or 8 yards before you ran out of bounds. And he throws an interception. Jackson Smith-Njigba gets bullied a little bit. But it's just like these games, these Ohio State games, they are being won by pure talent. Ohio State is getting outcoached so bad, they're winning it just because they have so much more talent than Nebraska. I don't know what the final numbers are in terms of recruiting, but Ohio State might have like 15 more 5-stars than Nebraska. And how about the offensive line? The offensive line for Ohio State, we have all these veteran guys, but you've got guys like Paris Johnson Jr. playing out of position, playing the guard position. This is a former 5-star offensive tackle prospect, number 1 offensive tackle in the country, I believe back in 2019. He's playing guard. He has a meltdown game. Now, the offensive line last week in the first half, they all melted down, but this was Paris Johnson Jr. getting beat several times, giving up sacks. Another weird thing that I saw, I don't know if other people saw this, third quarter, the Nebraska crowd basically booed the entire third quarter. It was a really weird situation, and my theory is they were pumping in the boos. That's what I think they were doing. People were saying they were pumping in crowd noise, and it was weird because Nebraska fans started booing. I think it was Jackson Smith-Njigba or Chris Olave made a fair catch at the 10-yard line, and they called kick-catch interference because the defender it looked like he was within a yard of Chris Olave or Jackson Smith-Njigba, whoever caught it, and they called a 15-yard penalty. It wasn't like this earth-shattering, game-changing play. It just gave Ohio State better field position, and it looked like the call could have went one way or the other. So the crowd starts booing the entire third quarter, even when the refs single-handedly derailed an Ohio State offensive drive. They were booing when the refs called holding on Ohio State. Ohio State had 50 yards worth of penalties, 6 penalties in the third quarter alone. And I don't know if I think they were filtering in the boos. It was a really weird situation. Did anyone else, the crowd was booing the entire third quarter. That was really weird. But overall, guys, what a game. This is why I love college football, even though, I got to be honest, that if you're an Ohio State fan, these games are tough to watch. The offense is just so anemic in the red zone. There is, second game in a row, 0 push from the offensive line. 0 push. I think we may have overestimated this offense when you look at the games. They ran up points against Rutgers. They ran up 60 points against Maryland. This offense has issues getting short yardage situations. They have issues in the red zone. 26 points today. I believe they only had 2 offensive touchdowns last week because they had the scoop and score. So they had 33 total offensive points, or 33 total points last week, but 7 of them came on the scoop and score. This week, they scored 26 offensive points. So back-to-back weeks of 26 offensive points. You're talking about 2 touchdowns And then, 4 field goals? That's crazy. I can't believe Ohio State kicking 4 field goals again. But it's just this offensive line getting no push. Trevion completely abandoning the run. And listen, if it's 2nd and 10, throw the ball. I understand throwing the ball on 2nd and 10. I totally get it. But, you're going to say right at the end of the game, you're up 23-17 against Nebraska. 1st and 10 at their 40. Now, I don't know if it was because Master Teague was in the game. That's why they wanted to throw it. But even in a situation like that, just call a timeout. Run the clock down to 0. Call a timeout right before it hits 0 so you run the time down. 1st and 10 at Nebraska's 40-yard line. Get Trevion Henderson in the game and then just run the ball. Instead, they try throwing on first down, and that could have been a disaster. I have no clue how Ohio State got that ball back. Ball rolling around. C.J. Stroud rolls in the pocket. Gets strip sacked, and then Ohio State somehow gets it back, becomes 2nd and 21. They throw a little pass to Jackson Smith-Njigba, and then they do a quick screen to Trevion Henderson, and then our kicker, oh my God, I thought our kicker was 100% gonna miss that one because he's made everything all season. And it wasn't even like it was a chip shot. This is like a 40-yarder, 46-yarder, I think, and he boots it right through. That was amazing to see, but overall, guys, Ryan Day. I think that the story's got to be Ryan Day and just getting clearly outcoached. The offensive line is the other major story. Our defense is very good when it comes to pressure, when it comes to pass rush. The linebackers are improving. The cornerbacks with Denzel Burke and Cam Brown are playing great. It's just the safety, and it's a major issue. If Ohio State had one stud safety, if Josh Proctor wasn't injured, although you can't really say that considering the way Josh Proctor tackles, he basically gets injured every game. He just throws himself at the ball. He's got to do a better job of just not doing that. But overall, the safety, it's just the one weak spot of this Ohio State defense, and you talk about the 2 massive plays Nebraska had. College football is all about not giving up the big plays. These are college kids. You make Adrian Martinez throw 5 or 6 good passes down the field to get a touchdown. Not one pass. Right. 2 times it happened. The 185-yarder, whatever it was, touchdown, or 72-yarder, I think it was, and then the other one that got them down to the 1-yard line to where Adrian Martinez just kept it and walked it in. The idea, good defenses in college football, the one thing they do not do is give up big plays. If Adrian Martinez wants to make 6 or 7 really good throws down the field and get a touchdown that way, that's fine. It just don't give up the big plays, and there were 2 big plays that happened in this game that Ohio State gave up. As for Nebraska, I think we all kind of knew they were better than the 3-6 record, but now it's kind of at the point where I was really the first one to say Nebraska was better than the record, but now everyone's doing it, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like it. But now Nebraska is 3-7. Yes, they are a lot better than that record. But overall, Jackson Smith-Njigba, I guess the 75-yarder, that's how you have, 200 yards receiving. It's weird. Ohio State's offense, it felt like they struggled and they somehow spit out 500 yards of offense. Again, it's one of those things where they can move the ball, which it didn't even feel like we were moving the ball, but you can move the ball once you get into the red zone. You're talking about last 2 games combined, 10 red zone trips, 2 touchdowns. That is going to lose you games when you face Michigan State, you face Michigan. Next week versus Purdue, we'll have to see if they can get back on track, but I'm really concerned. The things that I just want simple fixes like getting the play call in earlier. Like there's 5 or 6 times a game where Ryan Day is changing the play. How about the main problem? It's like the first half of the game. You're changing the play. You're looking at the defense's look. They have 6 men in the box. It's a 2nd and 7 or a 1st and 10. You're changing the play. You better be changing it to a run. And Ryan Day, it took him 15 seconds to get the play in. They change it. It's a pass. It's a pass. They're playing coverage. Their linebackers are off the ball. They want to make it as crowded. They want to make the secondary and those passing lanes as crowded as possible for C.J. Stroud, and that's what they were able to do. And that's C.J. Stroud, the 2 interceptions. He was rolling out of the pocket on both of the interceptions. The second one was just a completely ill-advised throw into double coverage. Chris Olave down the sideline there. What was that, in the 4th quarter, I believe? But either way, Ohio State won the field position battle again. That's really good. And the kicker, our kicker saved us 4 for 4 on field goals, and these are not chip shot field goals, man. You're kicking like 37, 46 yarders for college kickers. Those are no joke. No joke. So you'll take it. Could you imagine if we had missed that field goal? 23-17, Nebraska with the ball. That's another issue with kicking these field goals. The other play I'll say with Ryan Day, you're up 20-10. I believe it was late in the third quarter, 4th and 2. First of all, it was 3rd and 2. It was 3rd and 2 at Nebraska's like 30-yard line or maybe like 27-yard line. Why aren't you just running the ball? Just run a freaking QB sneak for 2 plays. Get 1 yard the first play, then it's 4th and 1. Get the second yard after that. They throw it. Smith-Njigba was open on a short pass, but Trout, it was off his hand. And then 4th and 2, you got to be going for it there. I understand, you like the problem going from 20 to 10 to 23 to 10, it's still a 2-score game, and it's still a situation where if Nebraska scores 2 touchdowns, they beat you 24 to 23. So 4th and 2, like to me, 3rd and 2, I'm completely handling that situation differently. I'm running the ball either with Henderson or I'm just telling Stroud, dude, just fall forward, then we'll go for it on 4th and 1 and just fall forward again and get the first down. If you got to do that, you got to do it. You got to win these games. You lose this game, you're out of the playoff. But when it comes to the overall playoff, if Cincinnati has a good showing against Tulsa, I think they move ahead of Ohio State. Just a quick reaction on that. We'll have to see how Cincinnati plays. Again, Cincinnati's disappointed the past few weeks. We'll have to see. I also saw Minnesota lay an absolute egg at home against Illinois. Illinois, good defense. Not a good offense, obviously, but Illinois came to play. They've played some good defensive games. Recently, you go back to that Penn State game and now Minnesota. Although I thought Minnesota had no business being ranked number 20th overall. Ohio, we'll have to see what happens between Penn State and Maryland. That game's going on right now. It's 3:50. Once again, Big Noon. I hate Big Noon. I can't stand it. There's 5,000 commercials. It is horrific. I don't know why Ohio State agrees to be on it. This Big Ten TV deal with Fox cannot end soon enough. I am so sick of this. And, the Michigan game is always at noon. I understand that, but it's just like, hopefully the Purdue game is at 3:30 or maybe 7. That would be great. But I'm hoping the Purdue game is at 3:30 and then the Michigan State game at 3:30 as well. That would be really good. And hopefully it's on ABC. Personally, these big noon games, this Fox production, Fox is so greedy. I understand the capitalism. I get it. But it's just like you're running 5,000 commercials. There's an injury. There's a commercial. There's a kickoff. There's a commercial. They have it's noticeable. They have way more commercials than ABC, than ESPN. It's totally noticeable throughout the game. These games, they're taking 3.5 hours. They're taking 4 hours to get completed. And it's like you're sitting there like it's a miserable game. Like Ohio State, this is another one of those games. It's a lot like Oregon. Now they win this game. It's a lot like Oregon to the point where it's just miserable. It's really miserable. So we will see what ends up happening. But you got to take the win against the tough Nebraska team. You'll take the win. But there's some major issues. And Michigan fans, if there's a word for you right now, encouraged. You should feel very encouraged about Ohio State's struggles in the red zone. Michigan gets Ohio State at home this year. It's going to be a tough game for Ohio State. We'll see if they can improve the red zone offense, but it's tough right now, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.